You know so many people who already been in the chair. Bastian and
It's all my friends.
Emil. It's just a little gang we have here.
I didn't know that Anna had been here. That's nice.
Oh yeah, she only got published today. So
Of
how
course.
could you?
I couldn't know. Where did you go to eat with Anna?
Pasties.
Pasties. Yeah.
Okay.
Like a French restaurant.
Yeah, it was lunch as well, but it was very nice.
Nice.
But today
Did
was
you go for a steak or
nice
something?
because
Or
we were about to order a steak actually.
Yeah?
But we had
fish of the day. Yeah.
fish of
It was
the
haddock. I think.
Nice.
It was
Yeah,
really
I think
good.
I've
though.
been there once.
It was really
It's
nice.
in Gotterskill, right?
Yeah, it was really nice. We were about to order the ribeye,
Hmm?
and then they presented the fish of the day. And it
Okay.
was super good actually.
I'm
They
actually
do
more
these,
into fish now too. Instead
I
of
love
always
fish.
going for the steak
Yeah.
because afterwards, like today when we spoke about the head meal, you know,
Yeah,
head course,
yeah, exactly. No, but also like steak, I eat that more frequently at home, and fish as well. But then I usually tend to just eat salmon,
Okay.
and I don't really take. too
I
many
can't. I
different
can't
types of
stand
fish.
salmon anymore. I was in Manchester last weekend, and we went to a sushi restaurant.
Yeah.
And you know they didn't have pictures, which is a good sign
Mm-hmm.
on the menu. We just ordered like the big plate with tons of sushi.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you expect like some good stuff,
Yeah.
Of course.
and then you just got like there was maybe 8 pieces of sushi out of 30-ish items, and all the rest was just like
Sashimi. Oh,
big fat pieces of
Yeah,
fish,
that's
nothing else.
Sashimi.
And when you just have that big chunk of salmon like
Mhm.
3 times in a row, you just
I'm also not a big fan of.
it was really
I'm not a big fan of raw.
Nah, it
fish
was-
in
it was
general.
too
raw
raw, it was
it's
like-
fine with sushi, or if it's like tartar, it's
just
yeah,
okay.
tasted like a
But
bad
just
stomach.
chunks I also don't like. But
Yeah.
like just
It was so
Has to
disappointing.
be
Baking it
top
nicely.
grade quality. And
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe good variation and
good
not too,
dressing or like
You know, the
something
tuna
nice
is
to
good.
dip it in.
The tuna is
Yeah,
always
tuna.
solid,
That's
but-
also the one I'm most comfortable with.
Yeah.
tuna is amazing.
Oh, we're
Cool.
rolling already.
Okay, okay.
Shout out to tuna then.
We'll leave that bit in. All right. Okay. Welcome, Samuel.
Thank you so much.
A slightly different episode today than usual.
Yeah, I must say.
You're not owning a restaurant or working in a restaurant. You are a content creator. You work a lot with restaurants. Would love to hear more about how you got into that. But perhaps we can start with a brief introduction about you, how you got into content creation in the first place. And I'd love to hear more after that on how you first started working with restaurants. You have a big passion. You know a lot. That's what we heard already. So feel free to tell us about your journey into content in the first place.
Thank you. Yeah, as well. My name is Samuel, and I'm a photographer, videographer, content creator. I do a lot of different stuff. And I got into food photography, I think like 4 or 5 years ago. I really love to go to restaurants and spend a lot of money there. And one of my friends, he became a chef, and he introduced me to Anne, who's been on the episode. And I went to the restaurant called Nam in Aalborg, who make like Asian with a twist of Nordic food. And I went there and I made a small commercial for the restaurant, and I made some photos and really got the flair for it. And then it just started rolling. And I did photos and videos for maybe like 15, 20 different restaurants now.
And looking back at the first shoot you did for restaurants, what is something you focused on a lot compared to they maybe have an ID before they invite you in?
Yeah, of
What
course.
is from your own profession, what do you take with you in terms of stepping it up a notch and getting the best outcome?
I always wanted to bring my own personal style and make it like really organic and use a lot of natural light, but then also make like the food and the best of the restaurants to stand out. Because sometimes you go to a website and it's just like one photo that has to represent the whole restaurant, and I think that's pretty hard, you know. And that's why I came up with the idea to bring in the video part and make like a nice video that can like introduce the whole like the whole venue, the staff, the food, and everything that happens in the kitchen. That was my take on how to represent the restaurant.
I thought you were about to introduce the concept of having pictures of every menu item, you know?
No.
Those places where you can get everything.
That's
and I'm
always a
like-
bad sign.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're about to promote it.
So that video you did for Anna and her restaurant, how did they end up using that?
I think in the beginning, you know, we just spoke about like making a video, but after we made the video, I think they used it on the front page, because on all the restaurants, you know, they have the booking button, you know, in the middle of the website, and maybe there's just one photo, as I said before, you know, to represent the whole restaurant. But I feel like if you have a video, there's a bigger chance now that people will like tap into
Yeah.
the booking and
I did notice that
inspired.
video because when I did research on Anna, who was in the last episode,
Yeah.
I went on their websites and I saw those beautiful videos. And I know what you mean. You get dragged into it in a whole
Yeah.
different way. You get way more of the concept even before you start reading about it. So that's really nice.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
What do you enjoy most about the collaboration with restaurants besides the food, I guess?
Yeah, of course it's a it's a good thing, that after the shooting you can eat the food, but I really respect the chefs, and I think it's so fun to see what happens in the kitchen because of a lot of the guests, they come to the restaurant, they say hi to the waiters and enjoy the experience, but they never really get to see what's happening in the kitchen. So that's really my role, to go into the kitchen and show how professional the chefs are and all the small steps to make a nice dish. That's really what I love. I really respect their craft. So I think that's nice.
Yeah.
And you already slightly answered this question, I would say, but still want to emphasize it also for restaurateurs who are listening and want to learn from you and from others on how they can use content. In your experience, what makes visual storytelling so powerful for restaurants especially?
I think there's so much, there's the sounds, there's the colors, there's like the fresh ingredients. We all know when we sitting on social media swiping, a bit hungry, and we see like a food influencer, making some food. It just hits different. You get hungry, you want to buy the stuff, you want to maybe shop for the recipes that they're making, and I feel like it's not the same with the photo. So yeah.
I think you also that's why I also mentioned you already answered it slightly. Like, there's also something about seeing the chefs at work, right? Seeing them at their craft instead of just seeing, oh, you get a plate, you eat it, tastes good. But it's nice to know where it came from, especially when we talk about higher end, and that's also something they can very much leverage, of course. And on top of that, like, how do you see that help like restaurants in terms of positioning themselves? Maybe again, also if they want to be positioning themselves on the more high end of the scale, how can they use this to work their way to that stage?
I would say, of course, you have to figure out which position you are, in the food game. If you're like small restaurant, with like cheaper dishes, maybe you should aim for like Instagram. I just been to Japan and saw a lot of like Instagram TikToks, about where to eat and get a cheap meal, and that worked really well. And there was big lines outside. But of course, if you're a more high-end restaurant, you should aim for like very specific visual
identity.
Identity. Yeah, thank you so much. You should aim for the visual identity that matches the restaurant and maybe the ingredients and maybe the country that you're inspired from, and stay on that red line. And that could be with like high-end pictures and maybe high-end video, so when people are logging into the website, that's what they met with. Yeah.
So what role do you think, you mentioned video is definitely the stronger option when you have to select between photos and videos.
Yeah.
Where do you think photos have a role to play then? Because I guess you will still advise restaurants to get some good photos.
Yeah, of course.
So how would you use those?
I would say, when you swipe around on the website, and you go into the menu card and you go into About Us page and all the different sections of the website, I think you should add some photos there for sure. Not too many, just the strongest ones, and they should be very clean, in my opinion, especially if it's high-end. And some restaurants are even too high-end, actually, to have a video on the front page. Maybe it should be hidden somewhere on the website because they're booked way ahead, but...
That's like a Alchemist kind of style.
Yeah,
you get
Alchemist,
to this.
I'm kind of curious if they have a video.
They don't.
I don't know if they have a video on
like
the front page,
weird
but
magical compass. Few buttons.
Sitting here calling it weird.
I would say
now I recall.
All the restaurants in the middle, they could use a nice video to represent the restaurant on the front page for sure.
I think it mainly comes from whether people know you or not. Because if they know you, you don't have to tell much, or you don't have to show much, right? Because people already have a perception of what it's gonna be, and then the surprise.
But do you guys
might be nice.
do you guys often look at websites before you go out and eat, or do you look at the social profile? So, like, what's your approach before booking a table at a restaurant? Like, what's the research you do beforehand?
I'm doing both. Of course, I'll go to the website, maybe check out the menu, and also check out the wines, but also I can kind of judge a restaurant, if they have a nice website, they really put some effort into it, then I know, okay, they put effort into the video, to the photos, to the menu, to the graphical details. They must also put some effort into the food too. I think it's like it all comes together.
Yeah. So, but can you have a excellent restaurant and have a disaster of a website?
Yeah, of course.
And I guess
There's a
those
lot
are
of
the
hidden gems
old gems, right?
Yeah, they just
but
gotta
they
call
just
me and I'll
didn't
help them out.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I don't think you have a restaurant with a very good website that is then a disaster. On the other hand, I don't really, or at least I haven't been there yet. I think
I
it
know what you
usually
mean, yeah.
shows craft.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm also a website guy though. Like
Yeah.
I don't really use Instagram or social media that much for just because I like to stay away from it. But in general, it is a great place, of course, to find out things. I did that back in the days. But what I usually do is I will start Googling or these days use AI to sort of say, oh, this is what I'm looking for. Maybe even include a budget, and then it spits out a few. And then the first impression of those websites, that's what's getting me there, actually.
Same. And I
think
think
it works
that's
really well.
exactly why video is also so interesting.
Yeah,
Because
really.
you can really catch them there.
Yeah, and a good menu, to be honest.
Yeah,
Totally
that's
aside
important.
from what you're doing, but making it easy to find the menu and making it easy to consume it, so you get an idea of, okay, what can I do here? Even though I often end up getting the tasting anyways, but still.
But besides having a beautiful website, how do you think restaurants nowadays should focus on their marketing? How do you think they should approach their social media? Now you mentioned in Japan, when you just visit there, that you saw a lot of influencers doing tips of where to go and eat. Do you think restaurants nowadays should focus on collaborating with those type of influencers? Search that?
Yeah, I think that plays a big role, because like half of the restaurants we went to were restaurants we found on social media from like different influencers, coming up with food guides, and of course there was a lot of places that weren't interesting, and we had too many egg sandwiches and sushi and ramen, and then we wanted to try something else, and then we just went out and found some places ourselves. But most of the restaurant we visited, we saw them on social media.
Yeah.
But it was only like cheaper restaurants, like cheap meals, and ramen and all that stuff. If I wanted to go for some high-end places, I may have found them on food critics' Instagrams or heard them in podcasts, and I checked them out myself. I used I used Tablelog a lot to look up restaurants in Japan, but none of the restaurants I found there, they had good marketing at all,
But I do think there's a benefit in the change that's going on in terms of searching for stuff, right? But that AI brings that, which is a good thing for restaurants, because it will, instead of only relying on the big websites for reviews that are often very debatable, I would say, now you can just type in, this is what I'm looking for. This is my budget, this type of cuisine perhaps, and it spits out a few, and after you get a link. I think it's a big benefit in terms of a lot of restaurants just getting a bigger audience that can come and visit them, especially from a tourist perspective. Did you try this actually when you went to Japan, by the way?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I
Did it work a little bit?
used
Was it difficult?
ChatGPT a lot too, but I think also like the websites, they need to have a lot of like good SEO.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
you need to have
ChatGPT
something,
can't find it. So
you need something. You need to explain, and I think that's also a good lesson in itself. You need to explain who you're for, what your prices are, etc. Because those things are what people searching for, right?
Yeah, but I think it's becoming increasingly difficult to find good restaurants, if you know what I mean. Like the trip advisors will not necessarily guide you to where the locals would go and eat. And that's really what I'm trying to look after. Like I want to go where the locals want to go, not where the tourists are going. So I think a good sign is like also just looking into a place. Does it look like locals or tourists sitting there?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if there's an app for that really separates the...
But in cities, it's also, in big cities, it's difficult as well, because then you often go into a blend anyways. Slight change of topic. I think it would be fun to talk a little bit deeper into the content creation process that you go into with restaurants. So you are the expert on the matter. How do you go about it when a restaurant comes to you? They perhaps have an idea, or if they want to maybe shoot a video. How do you guide them through a process of what's good, what to focus on? Is there some consultancy involved? You have been doing it a lot with different restaurants.
Yes.
What's the playbook?
It's mostly actually like the same process that we go through, because most of the restaurants want, of course, to show the nice venue they have, like the nice restaurants, because it all comes together, to the experience of the customer, with the tables, the environment, the music, and everything. So, of course, we want to capture that. That's maybe like 20% of the video. Then there's the staff, but there's a lot of exchange in the staff, so you can't have too much face and personality of the staff. So we want to add some hands, and show the chefs, of course. And then there's a lot of the food that fills the most of the video. That's like 60% maybe.
And sorry.
Yeah, so we like going through it all, and also with the dishes that they show and all the ingredients, we want to stay to the theme so they can use it all year. Because if they show like a special dish that's only good now, then they need a new video for like in 2 months or something.
Yeah,
that's not bad for me, but I also want to give them some professional advice, what works for the restaurant.
Yeah, fair. You could also say, take the seasonal special.
Yeah.
I'll see you again in 3 months.
So I'm always trying to advise them, to show a lot of the food, because as a customer, when you go to the website, of course, it's nice that it's a good venue and you're sitting very well, good seats and all that stuff, but you come in there for the food.
Yeah.
And wines too, and drinks, whatever.
Exactly. And you also work a lot with Instagram yourself.
Yeah.
Together with your brother, I believe you do an Instagram channel as well.
Yeah, we do some food videos.
About food. And what can restaurants do out of your experience of doing the content there to stand out on Instagram? How can you get videos out to the public, get views?
You're such a boomer. You should say TikTok nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't have TikTok.
Yeah, but
Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
Like it's same, right? Just different app, but isn't Instagram basically the same as TikTok nowadays, where it's just video? Yeah, I'm no boomer anymore.
I think the users are getting older and older on TikTok, actually. Yeah.
So but I mean, like the way you use both platforms kind of became similar nowadays.
It's,
right?
Yeah, pretty
it's
much.
the Reels type of content.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm just from here on, I will refer to Instagram, but that will be TikTok and Instagram. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but the way that restaurants can use influencers is, for example, my brother, he's a food influencer. So we have he has an Instagram channel, a TikTok channel. I record everything, and he finds some nice recipes, and he's making like his twist on a classic dish. And our theme is like always having fun in the kitchen, cheering a little beer and just having fun, trying to inspire the young people to make food at home instead of just doing Volt and all that stuff. Nothing wrong with that, but we want to inspire.
Many things wrong with it, but
we want to inspire the young people to cook some nice dishes. And we had a lot of collabs with restaurants. And then we visit the restaurants, and Benjamin, he hops into the kitchen, and maybe
we'll cook something up there.
Yeah, he cooks something up,
cool.
Together with the chefs. Benjamin is not a chef, but he likes food, and he's good at making it. And then sometimes we made some videos together with the chef to like hype up the chef, and he can tell Benjamin some stuff and show him how to cut a carrot, probably stuff like that, But then they make a dish together and taste it. And Benjamin, he's like, of course, if he likes the food, he will recommend the place, and that could be like a collaboration. We also had like a collaboration with one of Anna's old restaurants, where Benjamin had his own pizza for 2 months.
Oh, on the menu.
That could also attract people. So I think there's a lot of different ways to work with influencers, instead of it's just like, sometimes it's just like, influencers who have a lot of followers and maybe does makeup and are out of theme. I think that's too regular. I think it could be nice, to pick some influencers that are in the like food scene.
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
So why should I go and eat just because this influencer is out there? But
because you follow them for food, and you know that they have
and your followers are more passionate about food as well.
Yeah.
But what do you think in particular is working with this concept? It's because it's down to earth, it's funny, or like what is it that makes it work and stand out?
Our own concept is always the same start. That is like my twist on this dish. So people always know what they get. And when we go now to the restaurants, we're trying to bring the same concept to the restaurant, to bring them in and get a lot of views and exposure for the restaurant. So I would also say that if restaurants are aiming to create their own like format, and film in the kitchen, they could do stuff like that, but it's nice to keep it simple and have like the same format every time, so you don't have to like reinvent yourself every time. And it's easier for, let's say you have some staff, that are pretty good at social media. They could do it on the side, and I think it could be very nice for the restaurant.
I saw Frankie's Pizza. Do you know them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did
I've seen their
series where they brought in some famous people and they would do the monthly pizza.
Yeah.
That famous person, and then they would just have it on the menu.
Yeah, that's great.
That's also
That's great.
similar example.
Didn't McDonald's also do this?
Yeah,
But
they
had
did it
some
with Michelin chefs.
They were not it though. But, but of course, it's difficult to make
The burgers. So
that's on the biggest
they,
scale, right?
they look so great on the pictures, and they try and be like, nah.
Yeah.
But again, limited, of course, with
Some
what
of
you can
them
do.
are okay,
But I do
but
love I love the concept. Yeah,
Yeah.
but then often the classics. Are
But
kinda
it's the
better,
same
right?
concept for
Yeah.
many years, so you always know what you get, and
Yeah,
it
exactly.
works pretty well.
No, but I really like the idea of the content aspect behind of
Yeah.
it as well. And I think apart from using influencers, out of curiosity, if you would have to name like three types of content that restaurants could focus on to build up their Instagram, what would you advise a restaurant to focus on?
Like I said before, like having like a concept, for the social media. Of course, if their profile fits in that box, because again, if you're too high end, maybe it doesn't fit your style and visual impression for the people. But most restaurants could have like a concept where the staff could do like a tasting of the monthly menu to hype up the new menu. So like the regulars could come in like more often, to try the new menus. It could also be blind test of wines. It could be stuff like that, because it have to be entertainment, but also like drag some customers into the restaurant. They could also hire a guy like me to make like the high-end restaurant front page video that's maybe only twice a year or something. And they can also just do a lot of stories every day, of the dishes and the chefs working in the kitchen, to show the passion, for the food, and maybe they're getting ready for a full booking, and just to show people like behind the scenes of running a restaurant, instead of it's only like prices and check out the new menu, like simple stuff.
I think a lot of restaurants are definitely struggling coming up with new content, feeling like what should we post, and taking a picture of the place and maybe write some news to that, or we're open at 5. A bit of boring stuff. But do you think that a restaurant or a cocktail bar should search for some sort of concept that has the potential to go viral, like test out different things, a bit like what you and your brother's doing, like find that thing that might create some sort of series of content you can create?
Yeah, of course, for the in-house, production of that like concept, for the restaurant, they can use ChatGPT, they can like search on other big restaurants, who has like a popular Instagram, and see if something fits their concept. But I would also say, it doesn't have to be like viral stuff all the time, because sometimes the stuff that happens in the restaurant, where they like invent new cocktails and they get fresh fish and all that stuff, that's exciting for me. But for them, it's just like everyday life, they think it's boring for the followers, but I think they want to see that stuff.
So it's more equally as important to post frequently as posting really good stuff. Really.
Yeah, to have a good story running,
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like high-end stuff all the time. It can just be like real stuff, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I think it just matters that you know who you're doing it for. Like, what are the types of guests that you're after?
Yeah, for sure.
Because indeed, if you're a local restaurant, sure, it's cool to go viral, but it's not gonna matter very much if you have, let's say, a restaurant on the countryside. It's cool, but
of course,
indeed, it's about figuring out what do those local guests want to see.
Yeah.
Indeed, where does the food come from? What do you do when it comes in? Maybe you don't want to show how you clean the fish, but at the same time, some people might want to know it. Like there's those people, or like those types of content that are very cool.
And sometimes it's just reminding people that you exist.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the thing. That's
Oh
the
yeah,
thing.
I saw this post. Let's go there after work, right?
Because when you take out your phone, there's like these 4 or 5 visible stories in the top. You want to be there because maybe you'll get a booking just for one story. That could be one booking, maybe 10 bookings. You never know. And again, I would love to see, like the place we just been, to eat. If they had some nice fish that just came in, like a picture of that, a new cocktail in the cart, you just cleaned up the restaurant, like sun rays coming in, stuff like that, you know.
They should make a post about the kombucha.
Yeah, the kombucha was amazing,
They have
right?
to pitch that.
Yeah.
Thing, I want to know where you get it. What is
So for those listening, we were at Admiralgade 26
Yeah.
in the inner Copenhagen,
no spawn?
Japanese themed restaurant, really really good.
Yeah, really good.
And as you mentioned earlier, you go to restaurants quite frequently.
Yeah.
Branding and all that aside, what makes a really good restaurant experience in your opinion?
I think a good restaurant has of course, good food. That's the most important part. You know, that's what I'm coming from. But also like the staff, that's very important for me. And also like, you know, a restaurant that has a cool name, you know, and a nice logo and visual, identity. I think that's very important, really. And also the playlist, you know, and what they're wearing, you know, like the waiters and
Acoustics.
Yeah, acoustics.
As Big Chef would say.
That's so
Acoustics,
important, you know. If you're sitting around the table having a chat, you know, and you can't hear each other, even though you're like 1 meter away from each other, that's the worst.
It is honestly the worst. I think it is such a
Yeah.
it has such a big impact.
Do you often notice like a mistake people or restaurants often do? Like some small things that's easy to fix, but a lot of restaurants just oversee it. You know, it could be like bad acoustics or
Acoustics, that's really a big one. Yeah. And also, I also feel like, you know, when I've been traveling, you know, and the service is top notch, and after you pay the bill, they'll maybe give you a little shot or a little like just a little something, you know. It doesn't cost a lot, but makes a big impression, makes you want to go there again. I feel like we can use that more places in Denmark.
we actually had that recently when we went to Bistro Royal.
Yeah.
Just on the way outside the door, someone grabbed us like, hey, wait, we want you to taste this. And it was a shot of limoncello, but
I had to process it for a second.
but it's there's definitely something to that surprising element of it.
Yeah, it makes an impression, really.
Yeah, but isn't it very much a Greek thing where they do it, I think, in the beginning with the ouzo?
Yeah, both had in Greek, Spain, and
exactly.
Yeah.
No, but it does add a lot. In general, I think having those small things that you didn't order, you didn't ask for, it's the same as I think in Italy you often see it, right? You order a glass of wine, you maybe get some olives or some chips, or just doing that extra bit, coming out of a corner where you didn't expect it. I think that is just very nice. And the same thing I would say applies to their presence. Like before you go to a restaurant, without, like we just mentioned the video, what are small things that you see a lot of restaurants miss out on there when it comes to online presence?
Online presence.
Video on the homepage.
Yeah, yeah. And I would say
biased, but
if you go into like maybe a high-end restaurant, you know, you maybe expected a nice website, and you go in just like one very bad photo that represents the whole restaurant. I think that's a big mistake.
Can I top one in as well here?
Yeah.
Bad booking experience.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
That's the worst. Right.
That's
These days, you just need a very easy system that is in your face. It shouldn't be difficult to book a table.
And yet, when you were in Japan, you couldn't book tables, really. You had to call
That
the
was,
receptionist of your hotel.
That was not good.
No, we had bad experiences, right?
I used Tablelog, you know, to book some of the tables, but it's only some of the restaurants that has like the open calendar where you can see if the bookings are free and all that, you know. Most restaurants, you have to call them, and they were all full.
And did you say that you had to knock on doors?
Yeah, I tried to knock on doors, you know, and hey, do you have a table for two? Nope.
Can I please eat?
But we found a place. We found a place in Osaka. We were just walking by, and I think we've been out looking for restaurants 90 minutes, and wow, feelings were high, you know, and we just needed a place. And I was walking by a place, looked in the window, and there was like a proud sushi chef. You know, I could see he was the man. You know, so I told Camilla, my girlfriend, you know, let's go here. He's good, I know. And we couldn't understand anything on the signs, you know. I just knew there was some sushi in there. And we came in, and it was the most overwhelming menu card I ever seen. I think we spent like 20 minutes, you know, just looking for what to get. And then I told her, come help us, you know, we'll get this. And it was all bluefin tuna dishes. And it was amazing. It's one of the best meals we had in Japan. And the guy who had the place, you know, we also had a place in Nara where we were going the day after. We didn't visit him again, of course, but He was also a sake sommelier, so also tasted a lot of different sake. But it was the presence, of the staff, was amazing. And we ordered so much food, had so many sakes, and it was 450 kroner.
Wow.
That was amazing. Really, really good experience.
What do you see as the biggest difference between the Japanese approach to restaurants compared to the Nordic approach?
I would say most of the restaurants I went to were very clean, very minimalistic, some of the best ones were like hole-in-the-wall restaurants too. But the presence of the staff was crazy, You just felt home, and yeah, it just made you want to buy a lot of stuff,
Was it just the energy they gave away, or like?
Yeah, they were just so kind, and just really wanted to help you. Because sometimes, when we go to some restaurants in Copenhagen, sometimes you can feel that the passion is not there. Yeah.
Yeah, you are not a table that needs to go through, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe.
I don't like that, Then I don't want to buy that extra nice wine and spend time there afterwards. And yeah, it's not good, man.
Now here it comes easier if you have indeed exceptional service.
Yeah.
Then you can get direct into this.
Yeah, for me it's 50% of the experience.
That I have it a bit more in the Netherlands as well.
Yeah.
That difference there, I often get carried away because of the service.
Yeah. Is the service good in the Netherlands or bad or?
Good.
Good.
Depending of course on the restaurant.
Okay.
But I do feel like it's maybe a little bit more social in general.
Okay.
We don't really have a big tipping culture in the Netherlands, but it has a bigger impact still as this here. Like, so you also get your normal wage. It's not like how it is in the US, but
okay,
still there's a bigger thing. Like it's quite common to, let's say you go out with 4 people and you have a nice dinner to tip, let's say 300, 400 crowns or 50 euros together. Like
okay,
if
nice.
you had a good service. So that's not the weirdest thing to do. So I guess that's also where it comes from slightly. But then I guess they also often in those restaurants just have the passionate people working there as well. And I guess that goes hand in hand. So that impacts, I would say.
What do you guys prefer, to have one waiter throughout the whole evening or multiple waiters presenting different courses?
Just one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would also love to meet the chef, I love when the chef comes out, with one of the dishes that he's proud of or something and presents that. I think that's nice. So he can
that's
get
maybe
some credit,
the exception then, but
yeah.
But being thrown around with different waiters constantly. I think the reason I'm asking is because I see a lot of restaurants give you a new waiter for every course. I'm not sure if it's the idea or if it's just like random, like here, service, go to that table.
I think it's random, but I don't know.
But yeah, it's just interesting because now we just came from at Braga. We had the same guy throughout the whole day.
Yeah.
Really nice, right? You feel comfortable around him.
Yeah, he was very nice, really, really nice and chill, and also that we had to taste, like the different kombuchas, and he gave us a little taste, like it was precious wine, if we liked it, and it was just good service.
Yeah, but that's the perfect example, right? Because we tasted a few things, and then the next time the same guy comes up, you can say, "Oh, I would like to try the other one."
Yeah,
and he knows what the other one means.
Yeah,
instead of someone else being there and be like, "Yeah, what did you taste?" And I don't know. I have to ask him, or do you remember?
You build another relation for the night, right?
Yeah. Slight change of topic. You create a lot of content yourself. Also, not only high-end content, also content that's maybe a bit more raw, made with your phone from Instagram. And I think a hurdle that a lot of people have, restaurateurs, but is just the idea that it creates a lot of time to create content, or that it has to be top level quality, and it's the complete opposite. What do you do, and what type of systems do you use to make it an efficient process to create content?
I think me and my brother, when we started out making videos, we agreed like rapidly that this shouldn't be like high-end stuff. It should be like organic, so when people open up their phones, it should just look like 2 brothers, having fun with the phone in the kitchen, That works best, because if we use a high-end camera for this process, especially when we have like brands that we work together with, it would just stand out as commercial. That wouldn't work, That would really mess up our performance. So we use a phone every time. I put it into my computer, on DaVinci Resolve. I can airdrop it very fast, cut it together, 20 minutes, then we have a video. If I had to film it with like a professional camera, like the ones we're filming on right now, it would probably take like maybe 4 hours instead.
because of all the color grading. Or
Yeah, color grading and with sound, with the like separate microphones and all that stuff.
Yeah, you need a camera in the first place,
Yeah.
which would be very expensive.
So I would actually say, for most restaurants, use your phones, plug in DJI mic 2, 3 or something, and just plug it on. And there's magnets on them. You can put them on your knives to get nice sound effects. And
when you're cutting.
Yeah, you can do a
cool.
lot of cool stuff with these microphones.
Now,
people are
we're
used
getting
to
to the good tips.
Yeah, of course. You could also buy, I think it's 1,000 krona. Maybe you can get one for 600, but you can get like a nice small turning table to put your dishes on. Put on a tripod, have a cheap LED light, or put the dish next to the window. And
so you get a
just
360.
film with your phone, and then the dish will spin around and look very professional. And there's also like a quick tip, quick thing. That could be like a daily dish that you put on the spinning wheel. So it's
that's
just
your
like
daily story right there.
Yeah, a daily
Super
story,
easy.
and that would take like a couple of minutes, because, of course, you have to make the dish anyway. You will put it on the like turntable, turn it on, put your phone on the tripod, then just make one clip, put on a song, and maybe list down the ingredients or describe the dish with short text, put it on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That could be a small concept,
And do you add like subtitles and stuff to videos, or you just do it
No,
without?
because again, it will take a lot of time. Of course, you can use AI to make subtitles, but I hate, when the subtitles are off. So
Yeah, you need to correct them.
I have like auto subtitles on the YouTube
we'll make
videos.
a reel out of this comment with the subtitles that are out of sync for sure.
Yeah.
I'll just
It can look unprofessional.
I know
and
what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like if people are turning them on in YouTube, they know it's made by YouTube, and then it's like, okay,
Yeah.
it's fine.
if you do it yourself, you have to correct them.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
otherwise, it's strange to not do that.
But you don't add subtitles to the videos you do where you're talking? You
No.
just say, okay,
No,
I still perform.
they still
but
perform.
I think that's
Of course, we haven't tried with subtitles.
Oh.
Maybe it's even better,
you might
but
have missed the whole
the
thing.
performance is good and it's going up, slightly. So yeah,
But I guess on platforms like that you focus on, people tend to watch with sound. Like, I guess, again, I'm a boomer, don't have TikTok, but I guess if I would have TikTok, I would not watch it without sounds on.
No, depends on where you're sitting, of
Yeah.
course. In the classroom, then you might. turn
yeah,
it
of
off.
course.
you-
I think
You have no business.
I
being
think
on-
if you want to make these small like viral videos, I think text is best, to put on. But for our workflow and to make it easy, and to make sure that we can make minimum one video per week, no subtitles for now. But I think for sure we will add some AI subtitles down the road.
Yeah,
when it
we
gets
use some
better.
systems for it.
Yeah.
Like where you just, it's also great for if you want to have it in different formats. You can easily upload a video, generates it, and
Yeah,
if you need to, you can adjust it. But it's pretty accurate actually.
yeah,
And you can also automatically hide filler words like and like it's
of
really
course.
easy to do that. Speaking of like platforms to focus on, I
Yeah.
believe you and your brother, Instagram, TikTok.
we started. I had a customer that was like it was personal training, and they made like healthy food, and I was doing like videos for them, like small ads, for Facebook and Google and all that stuff. And I think one of the guys said, "Hey, let's make some TikTok videos." And then we started to like trying to create a format. We started to make these healthy dishes and film these small food videos, and it went pretty well on TikTok. Back when it was brand new in Denmark. And then I just took the idea home with my brother, because we were very restricted with the healthy ingredients, and we couldn't make like big burgers and pizza and lasagna and all that stuff.
Boring.
That you really want to. Yeah, that was my idea, And then me and my brother, we just did all the dishes that we dreamt about, like stick flisk and pizzas, lasagna, and all that stuff with his twist. Showing people how to make it even better, So that's how it started.
But I think there's also a lesson in there for restaurants in general. Like, you don't have to do it for all platforms. Just stick to TikTok and Instagram. Like, those two, you can kind of do identical work.
Yeah,
right?
we just repost the same video, and it performs. Sometimes it really performs well on TikTok, and it's a shitty video on Instagram. Sometimes it's good both places, and sometimes it's just Instagram.
It's throwing a dice, right, with the
Yeah.
algorithm.
Because when you put the effort into making a video, you can, just post it both places.
Yeah.
Of course, there's YouTube Shorts, but we haven't had any great success there yet. But there's also Facebook.
Yeah, I
We
was just
also
about
have
to
the
say.
Shorts, and they can go pretty
That's where
viral on
Barry is.
Facebook.
I was just about to say if your audience is maybe people a little bit older, like they're still on Facebook.
Yeah,
right?
I know, but
like I mean, but if that's what you like know, then it's a great thing to do, and I think you can even toggle that on Instagram, right? That it automatically.
but the
posts on
older
Facebook.
audience, they got the money to
If you want
to
find
dine
me,
out a lot, So
post on Facebook.
Is it cool or not cool to use old content again?
Cool for sure. Sorry. Yeah, it would be
Yeah, I
stupid
would
not to
say-
do it.
I just reposted a lot of like vacation photos. I love to when I'm traveling. Both with my job and with my girlfriend. Love to bring my small Leica camera and do a lot of like street photography photos.
Ah, nice.
And I posted a lot of them on my personal account, but I forgot I had like a professional like photo video account that's more work related. So I just started reposting all the photos there, and they're still performing well. And a lot of the followers, they haven't seen them before. So I think it's also pretty tough, when you put a lot of effort into a video or photos, and you post it on Instagram, it doesn't perform well, and you just feel like, you just used a lot of time,
Yeah, actually, but it's
So,
also
just repost it for sure.
especially what you say, if you invest some time in making a very nice video, let's say of the chef prepping up a dish, explaining the thought process behind it, and then you put it on both platforms, and in essence you're throwing a dice and hoping that it lands on 6 as of how the algorithm picks it up.
Yeah.
And you might have bad luck, but you can easily post it again a few months later.
Yeah, for
Barely
sure.
anyone will
For
notice
sure.
that. And
No one will
that's-
notice.
You just save yourself the same amount of work again.
Also, when I'm making like the bigger like commercials for the front page of the restaurants, we also cut it into small bits they can use as ads in the version that runs on the website. That's without sound and without no logo in the background, so it can loop. That's very important. That will look very unprofessional. If the logo comes in the end and you can see it's just like copy paste.
Oh,
so
yeah, of course.
I make a lot of different versions also to get the most out of the content. Because when they hire me, I come out, for maybe 4 or 5 hours. We make a lot of great stuff. It would also be a shame, if they didn't use it all. So
Yeah, for sure. And what do they get basically if they work with you to do those few hours of shooting?
it could be like 30, 40-second loop video, a very beautiful video, graded professionally, with slow motion clips of like fresh cut sashimi, steaks, vegetables, a beautiful restaurant with natural light coming in of the windows, just something to get people hyped up to make a booking. And then also like a version that's maybe a bit shorter, with music, to keep up the tempo, that I can export as a reel and a TikTok so they can use it on social media. But then I always come home, with a lot of good stuff, so we can cut it into like 5 different reels or something. Then I'll also deliver that to them. And then I'm also a photographer. So maybe I'll throw in like 10, 15, 20 good photos. It could be the chefs, to introduce the different workers from the kitchen. And it could be like environment shots from the restaurant and also some ingredient shots.
So they basically get to update the entire
Yeah, the
visual
whole
identity.
platform. The whole platform, yeah.
Yeah, they get some social media ads or just reels,
Yeah.
etc.
Because sometimes the content that I produce, that's like very high-end photos and videos, doesn't really perform that well on social media.
No,
Sometimes.
no, it's
Nah,
It's
they
just to be
need
honest,
like
unless you're alchemist or something.
do you focus on having like a hook when you do reels that needs to perform, like the first 2 or 3 seconds to
Yeah, I
catch
just
attention?
I saw something today that I actually saved. It was a guy. He was like he was having like a paper bag full of vegetables. And you see him standing on the street, and the first second, he drops the bag and he opened his mouth like, he saw something that was exciting, and then they're panning the camera, over to a restaurant, and he's like, wow, and then he goes in, and it's like a crazy like soft ice cream with some green matcha ice coming out on top.
So
And then he
random
takes
as
a
well,
bite
though.
and the commercial is over. And of course you see the name of the restaurant.
On the other end, it's also very random. I think it's just about the quality of it. You just have to be excited by the first thing you see, like something needs to happen that you like. Like remember when we did those restaurant tours, I think there in that sense, the hook was just you look at a beautiful or just at a restaurant and the door goes open. That in itself.
that's,
that
not,
can also-
that's not a hook when
No,
you say
but
it like that.
no,
A
but-
door opened. And then
No, but people watch the shit on.
yeah.
Right? Like that.
you-
But that's my point. Here. You don't have to obsess over those small bits. Of course, when there is a natural way of doing it, sure, but that should not be the focus. You just want to create good stuff, and you have to know what people want to see.
Yeah, for
From it.
sure.
But then again, if you have a natural one, then super nice.
Yeah, but it could also be like, of course, all these like viral moments from TikTok and Instagram can also harm your brand, So if
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
more like in the
Speaking of the
middle,
one you just
high end,
mentioned, yeah.
but still like a social media place, it could also be something with a guy, cooking some nice pasta from the bottom, and you just see a really, really, really satisfying shot in the start, of some parmesan, something like that, that could also catch the eye.
There's definitely some natural thing about food that catches your attention in a whole, especially if you're a little bit hungry. Then you're like,
for sure.
Like if you show, like I'm getting hungry from this conversation.
yeah,
Like the fact that you just mentioned parmesan, I see this big parmesan wheel, and
That's the thing. And when they crack it open, and put it on top of some nice food, but you just have to. I feel like with the social media, you have to like cut in with a high pace, to catch people's attention.
Yeah, that's true, because otherwise people get bored and they move on to the next thing. I think that's brings me to a a bit different question, but very much in line with this. How do you think social media is shaping the way people select restaurants? Like the decision making around it, maybe also from your personal experience, and perhaps also what you use yourself when you create the content for those restaurants. Which things do you focus on, or what is important there to play around perhaps with the decision making?
It's very tough, because it depends, what type of consumer you are. Some people just want to go for like the viral sandwiches and like pasta dishes, and where stuff is like under 150 kroner. And if you're aiming for those people, you need to make something like we just spoke about, where it's like TikTok, Instagram, where it can
croissant filled with pistachio cream.
Yeah, where it's a bit funny and it's a bit too much. It has to be like 50-50 entertainment and of course like the true product that you're getting. I would definitely recommend that if you're that kind of place. But if it's like a more serious restaurant where you go in and maybe you buy like a social dining menu and it's like 900 to 1,500 kroner, something like that, it should maybe be a bit more serious,
Yeah, you also have to, I guess, perhaps change the strategy a little bit, right, of where you acquire your guests.
Yeah.
Like for the first example, the ones who go for virality, literally, or maybe also rely a lot upon tourism, they're going for the big boom of social media is very interesting.
Yeah.
Not that the other ones shouldn't be on Instagram, but completely different approach. More maybe actually pictures or small videos of showing what they're actually doing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And being found online also via the example we used earlier in the episode of people just Googling or using ChatGPT to find you.
I think actually a good example for what you can do in the more high-end spaces is create dishes or drinks, for that matter, that are so beautiful that people want to take pictures of them, put them in their stories. So you have the guest actually sharing it. I think Geduld, the cocktail bar, is really excellent at this, because people order a cocktail and it's served in a bathtub, and immediately people pull up their phones and share this, so other people get inspired to where to go. And I think the same concept goes for restaurants. It's not like you have to use dry ice in your food or whatever to make it smoke, but you get the idea. If it's just beautiful simplicity in it and worth a photo, then you can actually make your guest some of your greatest marketers.
Yeah, that's the greatest marketing, because it's also like a blue stamp that this is a really good place. I want to show it on my social media and recommend it to my whole network. That's really good.
They also had those popcorn things, right? I remember, like it's very cool.
Yeah, it's an awesome place, really.
It's actually a nice one to look at, I think, for people who want to get a bit inspired by how to do content and stuff. I remember Geduld is doing that quite cool on Instagram.
Yeah, they're good at standing out.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, once a year, they hire me to do like funny portraits of all the different bartenders.
Oh, is that
really?
you?
Yeah, that's me. And then there's also a very good photographer, a girl from Aarhus, who does the photos from the Aarhus section. But I do the ones from Aalborg, and then I think they pick their like favorite cocktail.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to bring like a fun element.
And then they do those.
There's also a little touch of drawings.
Yeah, that's
really like
one of the bartenders. She's drawing all the cocktails on top.
That's really, really good.
Yeah,
so
it's very artsy. She's very good. You can't even see it's a drawing, but she's so good. So
But it's also a good example, right? You get so much content for that one shoot, and you don't just get a picture of, hey, this is this person, she loves to play football. Or,
yeah.
But you get to combine it with a cocktail that's perhaps, I guess, cocktails from the menu.
Yeah, it's
It's
also,
also
on the menu.
somehow engaging for staff, right?
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
be
it
part
is.
of it and to be present on the
But it's
profiles.
We having
a
fun?
perfect mixture, right? Because they need local people.
Hmm.
All those people working there, they have a lot of friends. They will share it on their Instagram. It's a super smart way to get in front of on all their feeds. People likely listening, reading that post, or maybe if they would do videos, they would listen to it. But then also reading about that cocktail that is their favorite, they might go there to try their cocktail. It's actually damn
It's
smart.
genius. And then we
Yeah.
make it like, I think there's like the normal photo, you know, where it's just a smile and then the cocktail showing the cocktail. And when you swipe, then there's like the artsy, maybe crazy photo, you know. Bastian, he used to like pour cinnamon over a drink, and we lighted it on fire, so there's like a big flame in front of his head.
Oh,
And
wow.
one of the girls was like squeezing a grape into her mouth or something, you know, with a Negroni in the hand. And yeah, I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's also just
Like,
a fun little staff activity to do together, right?
Yeah, you can basically just bring Samuel to your next staff meeting and
Do some
prepare
photos.
people for some, bring your best clothes.
And
But they
let's
really
do-
have a great concept, you know, and a very strict line of their Instagram, and it just looks amazing, really.
Yeah,
And-
consistency
Yeah.
throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. That's
love-
also important, you know, with the consistency, you know, to keep on posting, you know, even though you're not getting any likes, you know, you're still getting the exposure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And likes is also just something to put out here, I think, to all those people. Don't care about that. Like, people viewing it, people will see it and they might not like it, but they might still come.
Still views.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Still
matter.
be a booking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The example you just gave about Geduld, I think, brilliant example. Do you have any more of those examples of restaurants that you work where you're like, other people should do this as well?
Oh, let me think.
Putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, I think Geduld is just like very, very unique, you know. I think with more of the other restaurants I'm working with, it's more like the traditional strategy where it's like beautiful pictures from the restaurant and people eating and food photos that I took or the staff took. And yeah, I think the Geduld are one of a kind for sure.
It's also thought in from the very beginning that staff is such a essential part of the
Really?
experience there.
Really?
So it's smart thinking. Like that's kind of how you tell a story through your marketing, right? Or show your values. Is that's one cool thing as well, actually, to think about. Like what type of story does this series of posts tell? I guess like we show some beautiful cocktails. We show
Yeah.
a lot of staff.
Mm.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think on a final note, it's just very important before you start to post or go out there that you just think about what you want to portray as a brand. Like, what is your style? And indeed, they are doing that very well. We also spoke with Ramesh in our last podcast, who has a lot of different concepts, and then you have to come up with different strategies for all those different concepts. They all have their own social media and everything, but they just focused on what they want to be with that brand, and based on that, they decide how they're going to push that forward. So one of the more luxurious concepts, they would spend way more time on that, go way deeper, and also spend a lot more time on the whole social media strategy, PR even in that as well.
Yeah, that's important.
But
really.
indeed, before you just start posting, think about, how do you want other people to see your restaurant or your restaurants, however you're doing it. Thank you so much, Samuel. It was a pleasure to have a completely different episode than usual and to go way more practical. But I think it's lovely for people who want to learn more about their identity, or like who want to do more about their brand identity, social media, content. For those listening who might be interested in using your services, photograph or videograph, how can they reach you?
They can find me on Instagram, on my website. Just like my website is samuelkanu.com.
That's a great one to
Instagram, Samuel Kanu too.
Yeah.
So just reach out and let's have a chat. You know, I can help you out for sure.
We'll make sure to link to it in the description.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.